What if I told you that you could buy a castle for the price of a used car? Or an entire island for less than a studio apartment in the city? What if a single parking space just sold for more than $1 million? These deals are real, the properties are real, and so are the prices. Welcome to Square Foot Crimes. Today we count down 7 properties that look like the deal of a lifetime. Cheap castles, tropical islands, and homes for almost nothing. But every single one of them is hiding a catch. A catch that quietly turns the bargain of the century into a money trap. We break down the real math that nobody ever puts in the listing. And we give each one an honest verdict, deal or trap. Let's count them down. Number 7, the €1 houses of Italy. All across Sicily and the Italian countryside, whole towns are selling homes for a single euro. €1, that is less than a cup of coffee. Picture a stone house in a sleepy hilltop village with views over the hills for the price of pocket change. Towns like Sambuca and Musomli started doing this to fight depopulation, as young people left for the cities. Sounds like a fairy tale, right? Here is the catch. That €1 is only the entry ticket. Most of these houses are crumbling, abandoned shells that nobody has touched in decades. Cracked walls, collapsed roofs, and no working plumbing. And you are legally required to renovate, usually within 3 years. That renovation starts around €20,000 and it climbs fast from there. On top of that, you pay a deposit that you only get back once the work is finished. Then add travel, local taxes, an architect, and famously slow Italian bureaucracy. So your €1 house realistically costs €40,000 or more. Deal or trap? If you truly dream of restoring a piece of old Italy and you have the patience, it is a charming deal. But if you think you are getting a cheap home to move into tomorrow, it is a trap. Number 6, the $10,000 houses of Detroit. In parts of Detroit, you can buy a real, full-sized house for under $10,000. Some of them sell for as little as $1,000. After the city's collapse, tens of thousands of homes were simply abandoned. Grand old brick houses boarded up and left to rot. But that tiny price tag is hiding a mountain of debt. First come the back taxes, which can be higher than the house itself. Then the hidden liens, the fines, and the unpaid water bills that you inherit. Then the repairs, these homes sat empty and stripped for years. Roof, plumbing, wiring, heating, easily $50,000 to $100,000. Then good luck even finding an insurance company that will cover some zip codes. And remember, half of your street might be empty too. Add it all up, and your $10,000 house quietly costs over $100,000. Deal or trap? For a skilled investor who knows exactly what they are doing, it can absolutely be a deal. But for everyone else, it is the most expensive cheap house you will ever buy. Number 5, the $50,000 private island. Yes, you really can buy your own island for the price of a car. Remote islands list for as little as $50,000. Your own private piece of paradise, completely surrounded by ocean. So what is the catch? Honestly, almost everything. There is no fresh water, so you ship it in or build a desalination plant. There is no power, just solar panels, generators, and fuel forever. There are no roads, the only way in or out is by boat or seaplane. And very often, you are not even allowed to build on it. Protected land means no permits, which means no house. Sometimes you do not even own the island, you just lease it for 99 years. Add a dock, a home, water systems, power, and permits, and the price quietly climbs into the millions. Oh, and the sea is rising, so your low-lying paradise could one day simply vanish. Deal or trap? With a wild spirit and very deep pockets, it can be the dream of a lifetime. But as a cheap and easy place to actually live, it is a trap. Number 4, the €26,000 French Castle. This is a genuine shade-ow. Towers, turrets, 30 rooms, and 400 years of history. And it can be yours for the price of a small hatchback. So why on earth is nobody buying it? Because the price tag is bait. The roof alone can cost over €100,000 to repair. And here is the real trap. The castle is a protected historic monument. That means you cannot touch a single stone without the government's permission. Every repair has to use original materials and state-approved craftsmen. And that can triple the cost of absolutely everything. Now try heating 30 stone rooms through a freezing French winter. A full, proper restoration can run well past 1.5 million euros. So your 26,000 euro castle actually costs over 2 million. Deal or trap? It is a breathtaking dream that almost nobody can truly afford. For all but the very richest buyers, it is a glorious, beautiful trap. Number 3, the Boston Spite House. On a narrow street in Boston stands a house that is just 10 feet wide. Legend says it was built purely out of spite to block a neighbor's light and view. It is barely wider than a hallway. Surely something this tiny has to be cheap. Not even close. This little sliver of a house sold for $1.25 million. That works out to over $1,000 for every single square foot. Inside, you turn sideways and squeeze through rooms you can almost touch on both sides at once. You are paying a full mansion's price for a home you can barely fit a sofa into. Deal or trap? As a quirky, one-of-a-kind piece of history, it is strangely a deal for the right buyer. But as a normal place to actually live, it is an incredibly expensive squeeze. Number 2, the $1 million parking space. This one is not even a house, it is a single parking space. One spot for one car. And it's sold for over $1 million. In Hong Kong, individual spaces have gone for as much as 1.3 million. That is more than the price of an entire home in most of the world. A parking space is only about 130 square feet, which works out to nearly $10,000 per square foot. That is roughly 5 times the price of the luxury apartment sitting right above it. Why? Because in a few packed cities, there is almost no parking to be found. But you cannot live in it and you cannot get a mortgage on it. You still pay monthly fees, and its entire value depends on scarcity. Deal or trap? If parking stays this scarce, it can genuinely be liquid gold. But if that ever changes, it is the most expensive slab of concrete on Earth. And finally, number 1, the $5 million trailer. This is a trailer, a mobile home. And it sold for $5 million. That is more than a Beverly Hills mansion and more than a luxury yacht. For a trailer? Yes, really. Because it sits right on the sand in Malibu at the legendary Paradise Cove. But here is the absolutely brutal catch. You do not own the land underneath it. You only rent it for $3,000 to $5,000 every single month. You cannot get a normal mortgage because the bank treats it like a vehicle. And the trailer itself slowly loses value over time, exactly like a car. So you own a shrinking box sitting on rented sand by the ocean. Deal or trap? For the Malibu beach lifestyle with money to burn, maybe it is a dream. But as an actual investment, it is the ultimate trap. So there you have it, 7 properties and 7 hidden traps. A €1 house, a $10,000 home, and a $50,000 island. A cheap French castle, a tiny spite house, and $1 million parking spot. And a trailer worth more than a mansion. Every single one of them looked like the deal of a lifetime. And every single one of them hit a catch that changed everything. So which one was the biggest trap? Tell me in the comments below. And be honest with yourself, would you ever actually buy any of them? If you enjoyed this countdown, subscribe for more square foot crimes. Because in real estate, the price tag is almost always a lie.